Hey there, DevCentral community. This is Boo, one of your community evangelists over with the DevCentral community. We are back in a new time slot today. I should say I'm back after 2 weeks away, and we're in a new time slot. Bunch of changes that are happening here, hopefully to streamline the show for everybody and just deliver everything in a compact, efficient format for everyone. So we have a new time, Tuesdays, 8:30 Pacific or other time zones. Hopefully that accommodates a little bit more of Europe as well. We realize that we have a number of international viewers. APCJ will have to sort out something for you, all you folks. However, hopefully this covers everybody. We have let's talk about this. We've got a new format coming up where what we'll do is normally we talk about a certain type of subject each week, and this week is actually an edge subject, so it's my subject, and we're trying to combine what we have as recorded content that we normally do on the Dev Central YouTube channel, but incorporate it into the live shows. Where sometimes that was kind of doubled up before. Sometimes, at least for me, I would have like a subject that would have an article, recorded content, it would have live content. Hopefully we can streamline some of that. So you'll see some of that today, some recorded content around Edge. And then we also want to touch on current events as well. You know, people that tune in week to week to keep things kind of fresh. There's always news that needs to be discussed, and we think Dev Central is a great forum for that kind of stuff. So we're going to be talking about news stuff as well. So looking forward to that. Again, if you like this content, hit like on the video, but also hit subscribe so they can see this stuff coming for or um, coming up. I'll also mention as well on the community platform, which is community.f5.com. We're doing after shows as well, a little bit more interactive, actually. We'll do them over Zoom. And so, what we'll do is following this show, if you head over to community.f5.com, you'll see in the groups drop down that there's a group for DevCentral Connects. And over in there, you'll find a thread for today's show. You'll find a Zoom link on there. We're not going to throw the Zoom link into the public chat right now because we might get a Zoom bombing or something like that. So we need you to head over onto the platform, and then you'll find the Zoom link on there, free sign up and everything. And then you have to just join the group, and that should be quick and easy. There's no requirements for that. You'll just join the group, and then you'll see the threads for all the shows. And we'll put in all the links and stuff like that, just in case we mention something during the show and you're looking for, hey, what was that link that Boo mentioned on the show there? We will we'll paste all that into the show threads. All right, today I'm joined by Jason, although I think Jason may have encountered a little bit of a connectivity issue. Oh, hold on, he might be back. Jason, if you're back, go ahead and add yourself to the show. I don't want to add you just in case you're not there. Oh, there you
I
are.
think I'm back, but my backup webcam because I lost stream and audio and everything. I think audio's back. Can you hear me? I think I can hear you.
I can hear you.
Okay.
You're good. And you're clear as well. Good lighting. I always tell people, lighting is far more important. Like your video quality is coming out great right now. Your lighting is far more important than the camera that you're using, because no matter what, the camera needs to be able to see stuff. And so you have great lighting, and so even off of webcam, you're looking good.
Yeah, I can download. I can down the light power just a little bit. I think with there we go. Not quite as
Cool.
over saturated now on this camera. Anyway.
Look, looks good. I'll mention a couple of things as well. Like talking about gear, I was actually recently on a podcast called the Disco Posse Podcast. This is with Eric Wright. Eric Wright is a technical marketing manager with Turbonomic, which is actually an acquisition that IBM made. However, we were talking about gear and stuff like that. So if anybody wants to know the behind the scenes of what kind of gear I actually have in my office, you could check out that podcast. I'll link that in the show thread for community.f5.com. And I'll also mention that I'll be at GlueCon, which is in 2 weeks, May 17th, 18th, 19th, I believe, in Denver, Colorado, Broomfield to be exact, actually. I should specify. And so if anybody's heading to that, feel free to look for me there. We'll have an F5 slash Nginx booth over there, and I'll be making some content out there as well. And looking forward to meeting with developers over at GlueCon. It should be fun. So Jason, maybe what we'll do is I had a question for you. We'll park it. We'll head straight into some of the headlines that we had today. to chat about here. My feature segment is only 5 minutes long, so we can spend a bit of time on the headlines.
Yeah.
First one that we've got up. Hold on here. Let me get the banners going here. First time we. This has been the headline for like what 2 weeks now. Like I go on vacation. This is all I see is Twitter going private via Elon Musk, entirely via Elon Musk, actually, which is interesting, right? Sometimes you see a company go private and it's taken private by private equity, which means private equity is kind of a lead partner or what's called a general partner. And then you have limited partners below that, the usual structure for that. So then you have a bunch of investors that have pooled their money. Well, Elon's got so much money that he was able to, he's got enough cash, he's got enough Tesla shares that he can sell off, and he's got enough equity, obviously, that the banks will give him a loan for $13 billion. They're cool with that. And so it's completely his, which I think has interesting implications. And, he says he's doing this for free speech. We'll see. And there's been some reports around how he's doing this for free speech, but he's already told the banks his plans for cutting costs and making money out of this venture. So, any takes on this, Jason?
Yeah, well, you see a lot of concern on, kind of I don't want to take it political, but concerns on both sides of the aisle of, what does free speech really mean? And to be honest, on private platforms, free speech isn't a thing, at least in the United States, right? It's a government thing. Like the government cannot intrude on your ability to say what you want to say. And there's limitations for that, even governmental, on like yelling fire in a movie theater and those kinds of things that you can't create public chaos in the things that you say. Um, and so the free speech thing, if he beholds to that principle that he says he's going to, I think that's a good thing, right? Because some voices have been silenced through algorithms or just people who decide that things that they don't like to hear, they won't hear. But there's valid concerns about really tearing into people and on the free speech thing, the movie, I think it was The American President with Michael Douglas, where at the end he's like, you can't just something about it's like you can't just support what you want. It's like if you really believe in freedom, then the thing that makes your blood boil should be the right of other people, and they should be able, like flag burning is what I think he was talking about. You need to, if you're really behind freedom and not just the idea of your freedoms, then if burning flags makes your blood boil, still need to support that, because then one day they'll come for what's important to you. And so, from a free speech perspective, I think it's good all around, for that to be a value of the platform. But remains to be seen, because if he's the owner and he's taken it private, he's not under some of the regulations of public companies are. So we'll see. But I'm hopeful.
He's, Elon's a guy that's pretty good at taking heat on stuff. And
Yeah.
so, if anybody's got a pretty good flak jacket for owning a company like Twitter, Elon's one of them. He's got an interesting personality and the way he conducts himself in business. I will say this. So I'm a Tesla owner, and when people have issues with Tesla, it usually percolates up on Twitter, and people complain enough on Twitter, and he'll make a software change to please the public. And obviously, it's a different thing. Usually, on those are valid concerns, and there might be things that rise up that are going to be very controversial concerns when it comes to free speech. But he's going to be a guy that listens to everybody, I'm sure, and does what he thinks is going to be the hopefully be the right choice. Um, next item that we have here, the Istio project is offered to the CNCF. Now, I don't know if you've been following this, Jason, but this is the Istio project is primarily operated by Google, although there's a few other players as well, like I think Microsoft and IBM and a few of the other big names have their hands in this project. This is a service mesh project for containers. Um, F5 has a play in that. We have a company, an incubation company actually called Aspen Mesh, who actually makes and a dashboard management. They have a managed version of Istio that's offered through there. Now, this project wasn't part of the CNCF before, and now is going over to the CNCF, or at least has been offered up to the CNCF, which kind of raises um, or hopefully opens the door for this project to really take off. Like this kind of happened with Kubernetes, is that Kubernetes was incubated inside of Google, but it really wasn't until it was taken outside of Google, didn't have the Google banner on top of it anymore, and then everybody went buck wild, started building all the plugins and really turned it into a platform at this point. So Istio's heading towards that.
Yeah, I personally haven't done a whole lot with Istio yet. I've been kinda on the outside of the whole service mesh talk, but I have been following, that story, and it is interesting when you take something that a company built, and then you you take it into the larger community, that, maybe there's a level of trust there, because if it stays within one company, really, they can take it any direction they want, and so building your own tool suites and all that on top of that, could get ripped out from under you. But when it goes
Mhm.
not public, but more accessible, a little bit more open source commitment from the larger community, that trust that it might be around for a little while you know is the boon to get more and more hands on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And CNCF is such a great kind of group for that at this point. Like they've proven themselves quite worthy of being able to manage very large. It is the largest kind of open source piece of the Linux Foundation at this point, I believe. Like it's a pretty big monster as far as
Yeah.
um, incubating open source projects.
Yep.
Another one I think you'll. Oh, sorry, Jason. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say hi to Tomo. We got a little shout out there. So
Oh, hey
hello to
Tomo.
you. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, maybe see you in the after show.
Yep.
Jason, I think you'll like this one. PyScript running Python inside of HTML with a simple tag. What's your take on this, Jason? I thought you'd find it pretty interesting.
Definitely interesting. I saw that announcement during PyCon. One of these years, I'm going to get to go to PyCon. I haven't been yet. Really, really want to go. Love Python. Love the language. I'm cautiously excited about the Python in the browser. And it's nice to be able to do the things you love in different environments. Like I was a big fan when MicroPython came out, and I could skip the C natured Arduino language, and start doing things in Python on that. And you can do it limitedly with Raspberry Pi, but you didn't get a lot of the hardware timing stuff necessary. Down closer to the hardware like you did with Arduino. But now with MicroPython you do, and so those things are good. Um, but the cautious side is just because you can do things doesn't necessarily mean you should. And so I'm excited about being able to do limited things. But if I was doing big things and far-reaching things, I would probably use things that were native there, like JavaScript. Even though I'm not really a fan of JavaScript, but JavaScript's been around a long time in that environment, built for that environment, and so that ecosystem is mature. So would I be adopting PyScript for anything necessary right away? Probably not.
Mhm.
But it's going to be an interesting playground, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool that they were able to pull that off. Here's another one for you, Jason, and I'll let you talk through this. Axion AX1 all private mission to ISS.
Yeah, so this was it's kind of mind blowing, this private space venture, right? Because I mean, the cost per ounce to take anything to space is ridiculous, right? And it's exciting, but also it's like how um how vain and how egotistical are we to go for private venture out to space when we have people, starving and all that. It's like, is it really humanity's best effort financially to do these kinds of things? So I have mixed feelings about it. I think on the space nerd side of it, I love it because it's so cool that somebody who's not a trained astronaut from years and years and years and whatever, that they can train for a couple months and be in space. I mean, that's crazy. And it wasn't just, hey, they went out on a private rocket and they went around the world a couple times and they landed. No, they went to the ISS and they were there much longer than they planned to be because of weather conditions coming back. But so yeah, mixed feelings. I guess I'm a mixed bag on all of this today. Mixed bag on the private mission. I think it's amazing. I think it's wonderful, but it's also, you look at the ways that we spend money versus the needs that people have, and where would be a better place to put some of that money. And certainly I am not a government mandate you spend your money this way at all. That's not my political leaning. But from a private, where do I put my money? That's probably not where my money would go. You know.
Yeah, it's a interesting balance that has to be played, and hopefully there's people thinking about the other problems that we have to deal with as well. These ones maybe make more headlines than the others, but we have to dig into whether or not hopefully some folks are addressing the other ones for us.
Yeah, and just a quick aside, you look at like, there was a History Channel thing, the Men Who Built America, many years ago, and talked about the Carnegies and Rockefellers and all that, and Carnegie and Rockefeller in particular, just kind of brutal towards each other, this like competitive thing, and like they literally just shut down cities because they were mad at each other, and like really impacted people for the negative. And I think as Carnegie got later in life, he's like, hey, maybe I need to do some of this for good. And I saw a story the other day where um, that that he donated so much money for libraries, the institution of libraries, that it was like something in the billions of dollars in today's value
Huh.
to build public libraries that are still around today. And so not that his whole career was for good, because it wasn't. It was for bravado and
Mm,
ruthlessness. But he ended up doing a lot of good with his foundations, and so
mm.
yeah, anyway.
Yeah, I sometimes, I not to get too far aside too, but sometimes I see you'll see like a celebrity who's at working at a soup kitchen or something, right? And
Yeah.
that looks good. That's
Mhm.
great. But you know what? You could, in that 1 hour that you spent there, the amount of revenue that you as a person generates, if you were actually doing something else, you could use that, as far as efficient use of your time, you could use those resources to actually employ a bunch of people to do that. That being said, maybe, being there in front of the camera inspires other people as well. So it's the
Yeah.
weird
Yeah,
mix of what's right or what's not right.
it is, yeah.
um, one more headline here. This was while I was away, so I haven't dug into the release notes yet, but Big IP 17.0 went general availability last week, I believe, Jason.
It did, yeah. I was actually, I haven't been following internally the release calendar, so that dropped. I was like, "Wow, that happened." So, I'm usually real connected to those things, but I wasn't, and so, excited to see 17.0 out. 16.1's been out for a little while, and there's some distributed cloud security advances in there. I know that there's some shape integrations to Big IP in there, so it's a lot of cool features coming out that we'll be talking about on this show. Right, and there'll be articles coming out in DevCentral on that as well.
Awesome. All right, so a couple of folks that got to say hi to. Hey, Aditya, great to see you. Thanks for joining us. Josh, great to see you as always as well. And one here, population explosion is the biggest problem.
Yeah, that's as far as space exploration, I'm guessing that he's saying. That's true. That's one of the reasons I've heard talked about. Is like, hey, we need to look where else we can go. My counter to that, though, is if you've never driven across the United States, I encourage you to get in a car from Yellowstone and drive east to like St. Louis, and you will literally go through hundreds, if not thousands, of miles of fields. So I don't think it's a population problem. I think it's a population distribution problem, right? We have lots and lots of people in really small spaces. But then we have this, and this is just the United States. There's land obviously all over the world. But I think I did the calculation once, and I think that you could take the population of the entire world, distribute them in the Great Midwest, and the plains of the United States, and you would have less than one person per acre or something like that.
Wow.
So and you can support a family of 4 without being a very good farmer on 1 acre. So I don't think that population explosion is the biggest problem, but that's certainly one that the space industry is trying to tackle. So that would be did you hey, let's take it. We have office hours after this on Dev Central. We can talk about that, have an argument about that. It'll be a lot of fun because I'd love to hear your perspective on that as well.
Yeah. And I think something like, satellite internet is going to help out a lot with that
Sure.
too. Satellite
Yep.
internet and remote work. And I mean, we can think of this from a North America perspective, but think of how many like there's lots of computers, technology, education being donated to Africa and countries that have not come online essentially, but they
Yeah.
will be coming online like very, very shortly. And we've already done a lot of work to, I say we, but a lot of organizations have done a lot of work to educate these people in high technology stuff. I think it's going to be very interesting when that generation comes online, gets connected, can be employed by any employer globally at this point. It's going to be cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, having satellite internet is certainly gonna be helpful. I think that the bigger challenge with that is making sure everybody has stable power everywhere that they are. I remember a Twitter thread I retweeted, and I retweeted it because of how often do I complain about the obstacles I have in my day to get anything done that I want to accomplish, and this guy is from the Congo, just wanted to do IT, and he said he'd have to fight through even having the resources to work with, but then when he had a computer to get on, it's like power would they'd have brownouts like all the time, and so being able to train himself to be able to do it, but he pushed through and might work in 5 to 10 to 15-minute increments when he had power to be able to do the things, and ended up finishing a certification and getting a job not there but like in another country because he fought through all the obstacles that he had in order to achieve success in the thing that he wanted to do. So,
Wow.
you know,
How
so
cool is that?
that's my shout out to him. I forgot your name. I'll try and look it up and get in these show notes. But kudos to you, and it should just be a lesson for the rest of us who never have power outages and never have the obstacles that to stop making excuses. If something's important to you, just do it. You know.
Absolutely. That's very cool. All right, so we still got enough time to run my feature, and hopefully we have a minute left to run today. I learned as well. So let me pull us off here, and I'll roll that. Hmm. Hey everyone, so if you're seeing this right now, it's because this recording actually worked. What I mean by that is I've been dying to get out of the home office to record some videos, and what better place to do it than in Hawaii? So the next part of the build on my Intel NUC is actually putting an F5 distributed cloud customer edge on it, which should be fun.
So first, let's go and download the image itself. It's on cloud.f5.com. Go under VMware Images, and you should be able to kick off a download of the OVA file. That'll take a few minutes, so we can go and do some other work in the meantime. Let's log into the F5 Distributed Cloud console. From here, we'll go into Cloud and Edge Sites, and we want to go under Manage and Site Management. And from here, we actually want to go get a site token. So I'm going to generate one now, and we'll need this for standing up the customer edge. Now, with the OVA download done, I can actually go kick off the CE build inside of my VMware. Now, since we're building this off of an OVA file, the VM options for this are pretty straightforward. Now, for the data store, I'm going to throw this on my internal NVMe drive that I had installed on this Intel NUC, which is super fast, and I can thin provision the disk. Then, whatever network you're on, you're going to want to make sure that you have a static IP address available and that this IP address has access out to the intranet. And then under additional options here, I'm actually going to go and insert my site token here and also give my cluster a name. And then I'm going to turn off DHCP by changing this parameter to no, and then put in my static IP addressing information. You also need to have your geo coordinates available as well. So go grab your latitude, longitude from something like Google Maps. And then we're going to go ahead and complete the setup, and it's going to start building out the VM. Once that VM is done building, as long as it has internet access, it's going to go out and it's going to call home to the F5 Distributed Cloud. Now, when we open up the Distributed Cloud console, we should be able to head over into the site registrations, and we should see the site that we just brought up actually listed as one of the pending registrations. We'll go ahead and click the check mark, and we should be displayed some info. The only thing that we want to specify here is down at the site-to-site properties. We want to just specify IPsec or SSL, and then go ahead and click Save and Exit. Now, if I go over to the site list, I should see the site listed there, and it should be in a provisioning state. It'll eventually go from provisioning to upgrading, and I like to check out the site status, and then I can see the tunnels as they come up. And if I go back over to the site list, I'll see this eventually give me a green healthy status. One thing I want to do is give this site a label. We need that for later on. So I'm going to go into Manage Configuration. Under the labels, I will go ahead and select a label called ves.io/site name, and I'm going to give it this value here, and we're going to use that later on. All right, now as a quick test, I want to spin up a virtual case environment, which I think is a cool demo because you can see that you can run a full production grade Kubernetes environment at your site within a couple minutes, totally cloud managed. So from the main menu of Distributed Cloud, I want to go into Distributed Apps. From here, I'm going to click on Virtual Cates. Nothing exists yet, so I'm going to go ahead and click to add one. So here I just need a name, and then I'm going to create a virtual site. So I'll name that site, specify that it's a CE, but I'll also need to specify that label that we had applied to the CE earlier. After that, I click on Save and Exit, and it's going to start building up the virtual Cates cluster, and it should only take a couple minutes from here. Now I can go into the virtual Cates, and then I can look under the workloads. And there shouldn't be anything here yet, so we'll go ahead and click to add one. Here we'll just need a name. I'll need to specify this as a service, and then we're going to go ahead and configure the service. In here I can specify the container, and so I just need a name for the container. I need a name for the container itself, the image itself, and this one's on a public registry, so I don't need to do anything, but if it was on a private registry, I would have had to actually create some credentials in order to get access to that private registry. After that, I want to deploy this on my virtual site, and I want to specify that I want to advertise this on the internet. It's going to ask me a little bit of information on the ports. I want 443 on the outside, and to the container itself, I need port 80. Now I'm going to give it a host name. There's already a DNS domain that is configured for this tenant. We have Let's Encrypt available to us, so I can add automatic certificates to this. And that's about it. The application should be up at the host name that I specified, ready to go. So I'm happy that I was able to share this part of my lab build. My lab is back at home, but you can just think now that you can actually have compute that's cloud managed, virtual Kubernetes, security services on compute that resides here on a tropical island, but totally cloud managed. Pretty awesome, right? So I hope you've enjoyed following along. Click like if you enjoyed this video, click subscribe if you want to see more, and otherwise we will see you next time.
Alrighty.
I love it that you can get your own B-roll. That's fantastic.
I know. Actually, I bank that stuff. I was flying the drone around for probably 15 minutes or so on that beach. It was a nice morning. Tried to fly it near some waterfalls at another point during the vacation, and my little drone just was not having it. With like the little motors were not competing with the wind coming off of the waterfalls very well. I thought I was going to bite the dust at some point there. But that was a nice that B roll was a nice easy morning for flying. So yeah, caught some good B roll there.
Yeah, I've
So we
always
got
wanted a drone, but I have not pulled that ticket yet. So one
yeah
of these days.
that little one's fun. It's easy to fly and don't need a license for that one. We got time for your today I learned, Jason.
It's 4 minutes long, so maybe we'll bank that for
Park it.
next week,
Sounds good.
and we'll throw it in there, or the week after that, because I think we have a long feature for next week. So maybe we'll get it in next week. Maybe we'll bank it for 2 weeks. Yeah, it's fun. Command line tool fig.io if you want to go check it out. And we'll drop the today I learned when we get a little space.
Sounds good. I'll note that that video that I just played back is now live on, if everything worked, live on DevCentral's YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/DevCentral. So you want to make sure that you subscribe to that, hit the bell so that you see when the new videos get uploaded onto there. If you're following us from any of the other platforms as well, make sure you are following us, whether that be on Twitter, Facebook, or on LinkedIn. That we broadcast to as well. You might be seeing us from the F5 proper, the F5 brand, corporate brand account on the Twitter side of things as well. So follow us on there, or you can follow us on the YouTube channel if you head over from the F5 corporate Twitter. Otherwise, Jason, we're heading over into the Zoom after hours chat. So folks can head over to community.f5.com, look inside of the DevCentral Connects group on there, and then you'll find the Zoom link. We'll be hanging out there for the next hour. Maybe we'll do a little bit of expansion on the topics that we chatted about today, and maybe do a director's cut commentary on top of the video that I just produced as well. So we'll see
I
y'all there.
especially like the industry stuff because, and just world stuff because, I'm in the bubble of North America, and, I certainly have a very different experience than some people who are in different countries. You in Canada, and then, our friends over there in Germany, as well. And so all around the world, everybody's got a different perspective, and I love to hear it. So
Yeah. Yeah, should be a good chat. We'll head over there. We don't have a outro today. Let's roll this Tuesday new time outro, perhaps, Jason. Maybe that's fitting. So, yeah, we will see everybody over in the Zoom chat, and otherwise, we will see you all next week. Bye, folks.
take care, everyone.
Next time on DevCentral Connects. Wake up a little early. Wake up, bum, bum, bum. Wake up a little early. Oh, wake up! DevCentral Connects, our flagship live stream, is moving to Tuesdays, 8:30 a.m. Pacific. We're moving the show up an hour and adding an hour from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on the DevCentral platform, community.f5.com. This is to allow you to join us backstage for the DevCentral Connects after show. Join us every Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. Pacific for the live stream, and from 9 to 10 for the Community After Show Hour. Links in the description get you there. DevCentral Connects is live every Tuesday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific. So wake up a little early, wake up